Hi, this is Katie Shell. I'm an intuitive healer and spiritual counselor, and I work with several modalities, including astrology and aromatherapy. And part of what I do is I have created a series pairing a sign with an oil. And one of the important things about this is that, well, one is if you order it from me, you get a little card with affirmations or rituals or something like that. They're all a little bit different, but they're collectibles, and the back are all the same, so you can kind of make a little oracle deck out of it if you like. But the important thing, though, the one of the things I want to emphasize is that with these pairings, it's something that really embodies the energy of the sign. It's not something that's going to balance it out. So um it may make it more intense or more experienced or whatever that is. And the reason I'm saying that is because the oil and sign I'm doing right now is Pisces, and I'm working with Greenland moss. As I also have mugwort, um, as I have a whole video on mugwort and Pisces that I made probably a year ago, or yeah, it must have been a year ago. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Um, but it was on mugwort and Pisces. It's about dreaming and activating our dreams, and it's a little bit more about movement. It's a little bit more physical. It's a little bit more conscious. This one is about Greenland moss and Pisces, and so I am it's taking me like 3 days to make this video because Pisces and Greenland. One of the let me step back one bit. Greenland moss is one of my favorite oils to work with my students when we're doing deep meditations. When I'm really wanting to get them to think, to move beyond their normal realm of what they would normally think about or what they normally experience, and I want to get them not so much out of their heads, just expanding their minds. And so people will get, you can, it's as you watch this video, if I end up putting this one on, because I've made like 6 of them, um the joke is kind of like, what is she on? Well, she's on Greenland moss. And you have to, like, once I'm done with this, if I had to go drive or something, I would put on some vetiver on my feet, or I'd eat some dark chocolate or something to really get me back totally physically present, because it does really send you out there, which I love as a teacher, trying to get people into that expanded consciousness when we're doing meditations. But also as a teacher, it's very hard for me to concentrate and lead a group when I've been working with Greenland moss. But it's important for me when I'm doing these videos to really embody the energy that I'm working with. And so it's fine. In this case, I was actually wearing a Moldavite necklace at one point when I was doing this, and that was just too many layers. Now I've moved on to my Larimar with jade, and I know a few people who have pointed out that Larimar is not something that you use for grounding, but for me, it is something you use for communication, and with the jade especially, which it's a little bit more grounding. So I'm hoping that this little bit of this little switch will help me communicate a little bit better, even if it's still very much in the Greenland moss Pisces space. So what happens when we do this is when we expand the mind in this way is we become more, um we get out of the fray, and we get out of kind of the productiveness, like needing to be productive or needing to accomplish things or needing to fit into certain, to check off boxes or fit into boxes, which my Virgo sun very much likes to do, and most of the time is in charge. But my Pisces moon, especially this time of year, really starts taking over, because it just is getting hit and hit, as the parade of the signs, that the planets that are close to the sun. And right now we actually have Saturn is approaching too, so it's very Piscean right now, and it'll be for a couple months, I think I figured out, and then Saturn's there for about 2 years. And so it's helps us see the bigger picture, see beyond what it is that we think we're supposed to be doing. It helps us, and when we do that, despite the fact it gets us, I'm going to say discombobulated, but it's not exactly the right word. It makes it harder to concentrate on one particular subject. what it does make us more aware of the physical world, because suddenly we're seeing it with fresh eyes. We're seeing it, the colors are brighter, the smells are more vivid, the sounds are, I hear the motorcycle on the highway that's, down the street from me, and I hear, just the I heard my cat jump off a fence about a minute ago. Just as I'm sitting here, and all of those things, just I become much more in tune to our natural state of being. Well, the natural world, because I'm sitting in a place where I'm remembering that we are here to experience all of those things. And I'm not taking all of the little details and all of the little shoulds and shouldn'ts so seriously. So as much as it's not it's different than grounding, it does help us become more present. And there is some overlap between, like, I would never say Greenland moss or Pisces is grounded at all, but there is something that it brings us into presence and brings us into the physical world if we allow that to continue. We can also kind of get just so far out there that we forget that we're in the physical world, and we don't want to ever do that. But that's one of the magical things about working with essential oils, is because it is plant material, because it is sacred plant medicine that comes from the earth. It's like this built-in layer of grounding that occurs because we are connected with the physical world, because it is something directly from the earth that we are experiencing. So as we're doing this, as we're experiencing the world as this wholeness, this oneness, our hearts open up. And as our hearts open up, because we see how we're all interconnected, and we see how we're all going through all of this together, and that we cannot separate ourselves from each other. Now, we want to make sure, one of those things that Pisces can do is we become too absorbed into other people's things, and we forget who we are. And there's ways to balance that out. But right now we want to, in talking about Greenland moss and talking about the energy of this, is what happens is we want, by tuning into that energy, by tuning into that expansiveness and that oneness, we are able to become more compassionate for other people. We are able to see ourselves reflected in other people. We are able to see all of our experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not judge them and not put labels on them, but simply see them as our brothers and our sisters, as our fellow souls having human experiences that may be different from our own, or maybe similar as to our own, but we're all having, it doesn't matter, because we're all having a human experience at the same time together. And so, yes, I get a little bit, this is when, flower child hippie Katie shows up, and she does sometimes, because I do have that Pisces moon. And I love her. I love that part of me. And I really embrace it when this time of year comes around, because it's one of my favorite times of years. And I also have my Neptune, which also has some of those same themes. So it's also very Greenland moss. It kind of pushes your boundaries, expands your understanding. It's in my 5th house, which I like to say is our playground. And so I love these experiences, and I love it when those parts of me are activated, because they're not very often. And even when they are, my Virgo stuff and my 3rd house stellium, which is all about communication and telling people things, and it's really on fire a lot of times. When my Neptune and my Pisces are activated, I feel at one with the world. I feel joy. I feel happiness. I feel connected. I feel a sense of calmness, even when the other parts are still wanting to do things. I feel this overwhelming joy of just being, the pure joy of being on this planet right now. And so I can't overstate how much I love working with Greenland moss, but I could probably repeat myself a little bit too much for this video. And I do want to specifically give you some ideas for how to work with it. I like putting it directly on my head for meditation, on the temples, on the third eye, and of course on the heart, because ultimately, to tune into the cosmic forces, to tune into the oneness with each other, the oneness with the universe, we need to crack that heart open, and we need to open it wide, and we need to allow ourselves to experience these things from a place of love and awareness without getting caught up in the details. Because once we get caught up in the details, that's when, reality comes back, and sometimes that's necessary. But when we want to just kind of sink into, float in the lovely pool, the lovely Piscean ocean of infinite possibilities, Greenland moss is amazing, and it opens us up to everything that's possible. So try it, and let me know if you've experienced Greenland moss, and what do you think. Thank you for joining me.